a lot of the time people say something and it's not about what they said.
Yeah.
It's how you interpret it. Like I always go back
100%.
like, well, stop for a minute. What were the exact words? Like what were the exact words?
Yeah.
And just look at it really factually. How and then how did I interpret that? And could it have been interpreted in a different way?
Yeah.
Because I assure you there's a big difference from what someone exactly said and what your mind made out of it. Happy Monday and super welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the fear of not being good enough. This is something that I hear a lot with different writers and that I've experienced a lot myself. I was just saying to Lorna before we started recording, it's like I almost had to give a sigh when I went through this preparation because I feel like, oh, this is so applicable to myself and there's still a lot of work to do. I've come a long way, but there's still a lot of work. And I think we have a continuous work on this, Lorna. What do you think about this?
I agree 100%. That whole external validation thing. And I think, we work with so many clients, and I think, you can sit here and you can listen to them all day long and they have more lessons and they have more experience, more competitions, more compliments from other people, but you can still sit here and say, am I good enough?
Yeah. It's a question that we keep on asking ourselves. I think that said, I think that the quickest thing, and that's what I realized also when we chatted about this before we started recording, I think the biggest thing is that I realized now I can be very quick in realizing when I step into that and I can
Yeah.
turn it around really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like that what the other person was saying, actually it had nothing to do with that other person, but everything to do with me and how I interpreted what that other person said.
Yeah. I think for me, am I good enough? Like people, I think, assume straight away that's a confidence issue. Am I good enough? Am I confident enough? But it's actually a nervous system problem. And I think when you talk about it, whether it's in a riding situation, whether it's in a career situation, wherever that shows up, remember the fear of not being good enough. It's a much deeper question. Like all that part of your brain wants to know is, am I safe? So it doesn't matter when it comes down to people pleasing, results, like being part of a team, whether you're, in a career environment, whatever that looks like. The one question that comes out of this all day long is, am I safe? And that's not physically safe, from falling essentially, like mentally safe. Do I fit into this situation? Am I safe?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how does those things then relate to each other? Like the am I safe versus am I good enough?
Yeah, so I think out of all the guys that I work with, we spend our lives chasing confidence. Like we're always looking to feel confident. We're always, looking for more and more and more. And especially from our riding perspective, obviously that's what this podcast's about. But the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, as we know. People worry about what others think of them. They compare themselves to others. They replay mistakes in their head. They're always looking for reassurance from friends, trainers, whatever that looks like. And they always feel like they're not doing enough. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. And I think also, when we look at how our brains work, we often talk about this, that reassurance from other people. Why is that so
Yeah.
important? Because
Yeah.
like back in the days, we had to be part of a tribe to survive as human beings. Like we
Yeah.
had to be part of a group and we had to be accepted. We had to be applauded by others. We need to
Yeah.
be a valued contribution to the group because
Yeah.
otherwise the group would be
100%.
like,
Yeah.
we don't really need you. You're like
Yeah.
dead weight. Like,
Yeah.
so, and that's why I think it's also so related to, it's so important to be quote unquote good enough in
Yeah.
order to assure that you have a safe place in the group.
Yeah. And I think as well, like if we really separate this, your nervous system is not asking you, are you talented? It's not asking you, will I win? It's not asking you, will I deserve this success? I keep coming back to it. It's asking if you're safe. Like
If
it
I say.
keeps coming back to that question.
Mm-hmm.
And your nervous system, unfortunately, it doesn't interpret judgment. It doesn't interpret criticism, rejection, embarrassment, failure, threats, like any of those things, non-life threatening threats, but social threats, huh?
Mm.
They're all social threats. Like we want to be exactly what you're saying. We want to be a lonely human is a dead human. Like we want to be able to fit in. We evolved in tribes essentially. So being accepted essentially meant survival.
Yeah. And I think that is so important to kind of understand. I always want to go back to why is this so important
Yeah.
and why does this happen and why do we act like we do?
Yeah.
yeah, it's simply part of our nature. It's part
Yeah.
of our instincts just as much
Yeah.
as a horse's instinct is to run away from anything that is
Yeah.
like making a noise in the bushes.
Yeah.
Our instinct is to make sure that we are accepted and part of the tribe because that is what's important to our survival. So I
Yeah.
think there's no judgment here. There is no like it's just an acceptance of that. That's how we are as human beings. Now, of course. Like that has the most positive intention as to keep us alive.
Yeah.
But
100%.
we have to realize when that then gets in our way and when we start to get into trouble, like in the pursuit of our goals in the
Mm.
equestrian world, in this case, like it can be anything, like you say, career goals or raising a family or
Yeah.
but in this case, let's talk about equestrian goals as most of our
Yeah.
audience is riders.
Yeah.
We have to realize when that starts to get in the way of
Mm.
pursuing our goals. Like, for example, like if you were to go to a dressage competition, you probably would. I see a lot with dressage riders because dressage riders tends to be a little bit of a perfectionist more than other riders. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to sign up for that higher test because what will people think of me? And
Yeah.
actually, by not signing up for that, higher level test, you
Yeah.
are breaking your growth. You're not developing as quickly as you possibly can because you stay inside of your comfort zone. You're writing that test that 9 out of 10 it will be all right, rather than actually going for it and testing that test, which have movements which are probably sometimes it works out. You have to be really precise, and it doesn't
Yeah.
always work out, and you risk, and then you think like, okay, I'm gonna make out a fool of myself, and that's I think, but we have to realize that actually that fear of being good enough, of what other people are going to accept me and see me as a good rider, that is actually getting in your way at that
Yeah.
occasion for your growth.
There's the good old people pleasing thing, huh? It
Mm.
rears its ugly head all the time, and it's not because you're weak. You're not stepping up in a competition. You're not doing a higher level test because you're weak. Again, you're trying to create safety. So at some point in your life, or everyone's life, your nervous system learn that if I keep everyone happy, I'm accepted, I'm
Mhm.
safe. But people pleasing is a survival strategy. That's all that is, and your nervous system gets rewarded from it. So it's almost like temporary relief or kind of approval or connection or belonging. The problem with that is that relief never lasts because your safety always becomes dependent on other people's reactions to what you're doing. So you start playing a game that you can actually never fully win. And it's actually quite a dangerous game because when that starts and you've not got the tools to get yourself out of it, exactly what you're saying. And I think we all have to keep working on it. But if you don't realize that's happening, you're never going to win, huh? Like you're never going to win. You're never going to step up. You're never going to be happy. You're never going to be truly on your path of your own goals because we're always looking for that safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also something that is outside of your control because,
Yeah.
like, frankly, even if you were to write a 10 out of 10 test or do a 10 out of 10 show jumping course,
Yeah.
someone can still have an opinion about that. Like
Yeah.
someone can still be like, oh yeah, that one thing there, and or that little thingy here. And we were talking about this before. When you get feedback, like people also have the tendency to look at the weaknesses in other people. Like we're
Yeah.
not so good in saying like, oh, you did that really, really well. Especially when we talk about careers and work like that.
Yeah.
There's usually you just get feedback on the one thing that you didn't do well.
Yeah.
And that's just because all the other things went really well. So they're like, okay, there's no point of giving comments about that. People will always find that little one thing, and that's the same with trainers. Like I I can get frustrated sometimes when people will be like, "Oh yeah, that's one fence," or that. It's like, well, freaking hell! Like 16 out of 17 fences, bob on, and
Yeah.
you're talking about the 17th fence. And then first I can get frustrated, but then I'm like, okay, it's all good because this person actually just want to give me feedback, and here's
Yeah.
where I can grow, and here's. But all I'm trying to say is, to make a very long story short, is like, even if you keep things safe, even if you stay in your comfort zone, there's always going to be that one thing where you're not going to be perfect. Like it's just, we can't be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So trying to aim at like, I'm going to ride the lower level, I'm going to do everything perfect just in order to get that acceptance. Yeah, you might not get it anyway because someone might walk up to you and say, actually, you could have done that better. And then you're going to see that as that being that threat.
I think that's where your confidence grows, huh? Is when you can push on to that and your nervous system starts to learn that you are safe even when somebody doesn't accept or approve of what you're
Yeah.
doing. So it's not the absence of judgment. Like for me, it's how we stay regulated within that. And you were obviously talking about a situation before that has happened. And actually, it's never what somebody says. Like it's it is that judgment, huh? And that will be there for the rest of our lives. Like people are always gonna have an opinion, people are always gonna judge us. But the gold work comes from when we stay regulated within that. And that is forever gonna be a challenge, huh? Because that one question always comes up, am I safe? And of course it's not. Your brain sees red, huh? Every single time. Am I safe? No, I'm not, because I'm not good enough. I don't fit in. I'm not doing a good enough job. You don't value me. I don't feel valued within this. Like whatever that looks like, you're not safe. So it's our job really as human beings, not even as riders, to learn to regulate our own nervous system, even when somebody disagrees with us, even when somebody is ahead of us, even when somebody criticizes us,
Mm.
you know how to handle those moments.
Mm.
And that's easier said than done.
Yeah, that is obviously the work that we do with our when we take people in one-on-one coaching. We help people regulate that
Yeah,
nervous system of theirs, like
100%.
one-on-one coaching, community, whatever it is. But that is a constant work in progress. Constant, as I just said. Like
Yeah,
I've done so much work on this, and still to this day, I discover new like
yeah,
holes in my
yeah,
management system where I still find that I'm getting triggered by other people, and I
yeah,
still step into that place. But as I said in the very beginning of this episode, I think the strength is now that I have the tools enough I
yeah,
realize quickly when it
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And as we always say, everything starts with awareness. But once you have that awareness, you can then also start using your mental tools
yeah.
to shift.
Yeah. And I know I talked about it a few podcasts ago, but that whole mental bank account thing, huh? Like you have to watch that as well about, how many deposits and withdrawals that you're doing. And every single time you withdraw something saying that you should be better, I'm not good enough, that wasn't good enough, I always mess up, I always screw up. Like you're draining out of that all the time, huh? Like you have to watch that too, because we have to be able to keep putting evidence back in. Exactly what, like you were saying with that show jumping example. Yeah, but there were 17 fences where you had a really good feeling. If we hone in on that one fence that your trainer has picked up on, again, am I safe? No, I'm not, 'cause he's picking holes in it and he's saying that's not good
Mm,
enough. Well, regulating within that is, okay, well, hang on a minute. How did I create the feeling that I had over the other 17 fences? And
mm,
you learn to regulate your own system within that. Like that's our job, huh? Nobody else can do that for us. And somebody else's opinion isn't going to do that for us either. Like even if they say, yeah, but this was okay, or yeah, but that was okay. If your nervous system is not on board with that, and I'm not safe because they're picking holes in me, which is not what they're doing, but that's the way we interpret it. Am I safe? No, I'm not. I'm shit.
yeah. I think for me the most important thing there is what you're saying about how we interpret it. How
Mm,
we interpret it. Because here's the thing, a lot of the time people say something and it's not about what they said,
yeah,
it's how you interpret it. Like I always go back
100%.
like, well, stop for a minute. What were the exact words? Like what were the exact words?
Yeah,
And just look at it really factually. And then how did I interpret that? And could it have been interpreted in a different way?
yeah,
Because I assure you there's a big difference from what someone exactly said and what your mind made out of it.
yeah. 100%. And I think exactly that's it. I keep saying it and I sound like a broken record, but that word safety, huh? Because when your nervous system feels safe, it becomes open to learn and it becomes open to problem solving, performance, creativity, exactly what you're saying. Your interpretation then becomes, okay, so how, it's not that you're not good enough, how can I become better?
Yeah.
And if the deeper you go with this, every single one of those thoughts has an effect on your body, on your nervous system. If your nervous system is still in high alert threat mode, you're not going to be able to think yourself out of that. Huh? Like it's impossible. So they have to work together. And that is why we do, obviously, mindset work, nervous system work, what happens in your body. And they go hand in hand. They have to, because your body cannot feel unsafe, but you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be okay. It's like in your riding, how you go in, you're absolutely terrified or worried, but you're like, yeah, let's just give an affirmation of get your leg on and let's ride. It doesn't work, huh? It's not going to work, because you have to regulate yourself first before you can then step into that place of learning, problem solving, performance and creativity.
Yeah.
Ask yourself better questions.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So can you give maybe just as a finish off, like this is quite deep, and obviously this is a bit of an invitation also to the coaching that we're doing, this is deep stuff. Like you
Yeah,
kind of need to dig in, and
of
we see a lot
course.
of people who love this podcast, and that is great. And we're so happy that you love this podcast. But we also see a lot of people who are like they're listening to the podcast, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm like I've got this right." But the change doesn't really happen because you kind of need that next level. Like it kind of
Yeah,
gives you a starting point. Like it gives you a
yeah,
starting point. Here's something that you can start with. But
yeah,
actually, what we often see is like people do something and then they come back a couple of months later and then they feel like, oh, I'm still struggling with this. So you
yeah,
kind of need to go that level deeper. And that's obviously what we do in
100%.
coaching. So
Yeah,
if you want to find out more about that, go to mindic.eu/coaching. You can actually hop on a free call with Lorna to just talk through this, see where she could potentially help you out in your writing. But just in case, like someone is listening now, they're like, okay, this sounds really, really good, Lorna. But like, where do I start? Like, if there's
okay.
something that I can already do today.
So we gave the example about stepping up, huh? Let's use show jumping because that's something that dressage as well, huh? But show jumping, you see the bigger fences, huh? I think
Mm,
that is one of the things. And you're walking around, am I good enough to do this? Like your mind starts running away with you. So then I always say, ask a better question. What would help me feel safe right now? Because remember, if we go back to where this started, that's all this is. What would help me to feel safe right now? So we teach a lot about your breath. Okay, you have to feel safe in that moment. So we do a lot of breathing, in for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. That says to your nervous system, hey, we're okay. Then again, I'm going to go really deep, but you can use anchors, like something that grounds you, feeling your feet on the floor. Okay, it brings you back to the present moment. Slow everything down. Let's acknowledge your feelings, and then we can go into, okay, what's the plan? Because it's not, am I good enough to jump this track? It's, how can I feel safe in this moment to allow
mm,
me to get on and ride my horse to the best of my ability? That's all we're looking for as a starting point.
mm,
That's all we're looking for,
mm,
because getting on with that belief and unregulated nervous system, there is no danger you're going to get on your horse and give that your best shot, because you do not feel safe before you've even started. It doesn't matter. Ride a dressage test, same thing. Leave the start blocks and you're worried about fence 5, huh? Like something will happen at fence 5 because am I safe? No, I'm not. There's a threat. I'm going to have a run out, a stop, a fall off, whatever. So let's get regulated first so that actually we can be present. Then you can give yourself awareness points, which is just get your eyes up, get your leg on, ride forward, whatever that looks like. But we have to feel safe enough first to then be able to carry out the tasks that we want to do. Does
mm.
that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So basically, to make it really simple, ask yourself the question: what can I do now to
What can
make
I do?
myself feel
Yeah.
safe?
What, even the smallest thing, huh?
Mm,
Like, let's not start big. What's the smallest thing I can do right now to make myself feel safe?
mm,
Simple. It's all in there, huh? You've trained it. Muscle memory is in there, but you're not going to be able to access that until we answer that first question. Am I safe?
mm,
We have to get that out of the way first.
mm. And as we already said, if you find that challenging and you're like, oh, I have no idea where to start with this, that's what me and Lorna are there for. So do go to mindic.eu/coaching. And you can also send us a message on Instagram. That's just indeed, in one word. You can also send us an email. That's on info@mindic.eu. And if you're like, oh my God, there were so many options, then just go to the show notes and you'll find all the links in there. Righto. Anything else, Lorna?
No, I think just, another little tip is, if you're gonna, without going too deep into this, but if you're gonna reframe things, I can make mistakes and still be safe. I can be judged and still be safe. I can be imperfect and still be worthy. That is where that is a starting point of it. Like, I think if you can add and still be safe at the end of your sentences,
Mm,
that's the start of reframing all this work also.
yeah,
Yeah.
super. And with that said, we're gonna challenge you to start making strides in your mindset so you can truly make strides in your writing. And we will see you on the next Magical Monday.